All right. My name is Chris Campbell. I'm a practicing CPA and I work with small businesses and individuals to help pay the least amount of taxes possible while keeping them out of jail. So today I wanted to talk about newlyweds, that first year when you get married, and the tax implications or the implications of spouses coming into the marriage with prior tax debt. When I speak to newly married clients, again, if I'm working with them for the first time, a number of times, and I've heard this recently, one spouse owes a good amount of back taxes from prior to the marriage. And as a result, we don't want to file together, which is admirable. Logic, they don't want to burden the other spouse with prior tax that obviously didn't have anything to do with them because it was prior to their marriage. So, which is admirable. I get spouses don't want to be on the hook, nor should you be on the hook for your other's tax debt prior to you coming together. It's completely understandable. But what I wanted to point out is that while I understand you may not want to burden your new spouse with your old tax debt, there's a couple things that you may need to know to get things clear. Filing separately as a result of that may not necessarily be the thing that you need to do because you could be leaving a good amount of money on the table and costing yourself even more money. So it only becomes an issue of burdening your spouse prior debts if you jointly get into an additional payment agreement. So to lay things out here, if you have a spouse that's, let's say they're in a payment agreement prior to getting married, and you go ahead and you get married, file for that first year, if you wind up owing and you decide to roll that bill from that first year into the current payment plan that includes the prior years, you may have a problem because at that point you are attaching that other spouse to that payment plan. So that's when it comes a problem. Only becomes a problem once you file together and you're not paying off that current bill. I come across a number of folks that say, well, I owe, let's not file together. But the problem with that is 9 times out of 10, you save more money filing together. So there are rare occasions where it does make sense to file separately and you'll actually save more money. However, 90 to 95% of the time, it's more advantageous to file together. So it is okay to file together if a person does have a prior tax bill. You just want to make sure that those years that you are filing together, that you make sure that the years that you are filing together, that you're able to pay it off if you do owe. And then obviously now, if you get money back and you do get a refund, that refund will probably be offset to what that one spouse owes. So one thing you do have to take into consideration is that if you are counting on a refund and file together and a spouse has a prior tax bill, they will more than likely withhold that and apply it to the previous year's balance for that spouse that has the bill. So that may be a reason that you don't want to file together. But again, keep in mind that your tax bill collectively by filing separately will more than likely be higher than what it would be filed together. So that is another thing to take into consideration. But as long as you take care of that tax bill upon filing, if you do owe, then you won't have to worry about being on the hook for a spouse's prior tax debt. Now, if you look at the bill, you find out that you do owe and you're not able to pay it all on time, well, then you may want to consider to file separately. If you still have a bill after filing together and you're not able to pay it all off at once, then you may want to continue to look at filing. So I just wanted to clear that up because a lot of times I run into this with business owners who get married and they wind up leaving money on the table. You don't want to burden your spouse with their previous tax bills. So all we call for is just make sure that you have a little bit of planning in place. I hope this helped. If you have any more questions about this topic or any other tax or account related questions, feel free to reach out. Happy to help.